Hey everyone, so day 6 of my 66-day challenge. Today's been an interesting day. I've, I think more than anything, I've learned some really valuable information. So from the top, I went for a run this morning, absolutely great. Got up nice and early, 5:30 wake up, super early. Got a good run in, which was great, really good. Ate really well. Didn't meditate today, but I'm going to meditate before I go to sleep, so that should be great. Journal a little bit before that as well, so that's great. Had some good conversations this morning with some of the following along. Absolutely loved those. They were great, really interesting things, and kind of talking a bit about some of the issues that other people are having, and it's nice to see that I'm not alone in facing those problems. Definitely, I think it is hard. It is 100% hard, and there's so many things that are just I don't know. Like I sometimes I feel like we're not taught the things that would really help us to actually live kind of good lives. Um, I think it's kind of a case of like figuring it out, and sometimes that sucks. But then at the same time, it kind of gives you freedom to find what's right for you and do something that is suitable for you. So there's an element of beauty in that and an element of excitement which that instills, but at the same time, challenging, very challenging. Um, then today kind of ensued. Had a good lesson this morning with a student. Worked some more on the marketing and advertisement that I'm doing for my teaching. Had a call with one of my friends who's doing some marketing for me in China, and that's gone really well. Lots of developments, lots of things that we're exploring, so that's really cool. Um, had some good ideas and things like that, so all really great. And then also got all the bills sorted out for this month, got all those paid off, which was great. And we've upgraded our internet, which is nice. So we'll be getting that soon, which is awesome. And then yeah, helped my friend do something that she needed some support with, so gave her that, which was great. And then so mid afternoon, I had a really interesting email, and there was like some potential for something. Still not sure if it's going to go ahead or not, so I won't talk about it until kind of I know a bit more concretely. But nevertheless, something quite exciting, and this was a really interesting experience, to be honest, because I was a bit excited, and I kind of reveled in that, and perhaps reveled is the wrong word. Maybe indulge or indulged in that would have been a more accurate description, because as I said, this was quite exciting, and often I feel that I can really or I can reasonably well manage my negative emotions, or things that maybe would cause me stress or discomfort wouldn't cause me as much, and I've kind of almost built up a bit of a tolerance to that through experience as well as through like different techniques. If anyone is curious about that, please do ask, by the way, but a bit too long for just this video, so I'll continue on. But then today, as I said, like there's this piece of potential good news, and it's not guaranteed. It's just like a potential, and that kind of I became a little bit like submerged in that. Is subsumed? Is that the right word? Like not overwhelmed, but close to that in some senses. In terms of I was very much kind of absorbed in that emotion of positive excitement and kind of looking forward to the future. So it was all a good experience, like definitely a good experience overall. But it made me kind of sit in the future a little bit too much, and not quite work on the present things and the tasks which need to be done in order to realize that future. And of course, I do think that it's important to have goals and have things that you're progressing towards. I definitely think that is vital, especially having like a clear vision and things like that can be very hard to develop. And even I don't think I've got mine, but I do see the value in that, and I see that there is definitely value in knowing where you're going. However, sometimes I think that if you get too preoccupied with the future, it can result in a few things. Firstly, like paralysis by analysis. So it's kind of figuring out what's my future going to be, and then really like planning it all out. And that can be great. That can be really fun and really exciting. But then it can lead to disappointment if expectations are not fulfilled. So firstly, that could be a one potential negative in this circumstance. But also, it's kind of there's definitely things that I could have been doing today when perhaps I was getting a bit distracted, or doing things that perhaps I wouldn't want to have done. Like it's nothing like bad, like but it's just kind of maybe I spent like a little bit of time on YouTube because I was kind of a bit overwhelmed in some sense, and kind of like just like need to take a breather, when like maybe in that case I should have been doing some other work or some things which would have then helped me to get to the point in the future, which was the initial thing that I was almost being consumed by. And so even though like in some sense almost it's kind of the beauty of the future almost kind of in like a really strange way almost like sabotage the fulfillment of that beauty, because I kind of became too focused on that and too kind of just completely enthralled with that idea that it reduced my concentration on my individual moments, on the individual moments as they passed. And so that resulted in only a small amount, and likely it will be negligible, it will be insignificant in the quantity that was lost, but there was nevertheless a loss. But I think overall, I'd say that that's been really beneficial because it's helped me to understand that I'm not as good at managing my positive emotions as I am my negative. And that's such an insight, because I think it's like when you get overwhelmed by your emotions and they take control, like I think that from my perspective is something which I wouldn't consider skillful for me. Maybe for other people that might be the right thing for them, but for me personally, I don't think that that's the way that I'd like to be, because to me it's kind of like giving your keys to a car, or like even passing the steering wheel over to somebody that you don't know, or getting in the car that you don't know where it's going. It's kind of, it could go somewhere really nice, but it could also go somewhere really not so nice. And often I find that a couple of things. Firstly, that when positive emotions take the wheel, you stop looking at the road as much, and you stop kind of seeing like what might be there. You kind of almost sit in the order and the comfort and the satisfaction, which the positive kind of emotion would create, and you kind of sit in that safety and revel in that safety, and then chaos can emerge out of nowhere. If we think in yin and yang, we've kind of got, you're like sitting in the order, and there's that spot that can just come out and blind you, and then that can be plunging you back into chaos and like tearing away the positivity which you previously had. And as a result, that could actually be a very negative experience. Whereas if you sit still paying attention to the road and driving with kind of one foot in chaos and one foot in order, intentionally venturing out into the unknown and facing those dangers before they become monsters, before they become surprises, then that is a much more sustainable and much more long-term kind of perspective, I'd say. And I think that it's kind of around complacency, and kind of the idea is that if you're in the positive place, you don't need to worry. You can kind of relax a little bit, and that's kind of what I did today. But seeing that is so valuable. It's so valuable because that helps me to realize that actually in positive situations I need to learn how to manage myself better, which is a very, very important thing, I think, because without it I could easily become blind in positive situations, and then I wouldn't be able to maintain them, because ultimately, like, that's what I'm aiming for, right? It's like getting to the point where I can sustain a positive experience indefinitely, or as close to indefinitely as possible. And obviously that's very utopian and more than likely impossible, but it's nevertheless something which I'd strive for. But if when I get to that point, so I'm working really hard, I'm climbing to the top of the mountain, and as soon as I get there, I just sit down and then I freeze to death, kind of thing. It's like, even though I've got to that amazing point, it's like, firstly, it's never over. So there's always more to be done. There's always the next mountain, the next peak to climb. And I need to kind of recognize that and use the positive emotion that I would gain from achieving that goal, or the dopamine which would be released based on the progress towards it. And I need to use that to spur me on to continue. And instead of just sitting and being like, whoa, that feels good, and maybe I can feel that emotion while I'm still moving and still kind of appreciate it, and definitely still feel it. I'm not saying that I shouldn't enjoy the emotions at all, but that's up and down. I should try and enjoy them in the way that you would enjoy watching a sad movie. It's kind of like you get to experience it. But yeah, it's certainly an interesting experience, and definitely quite an eye-opening one. So far, I think this is, even though it's the closest I've had so far to a failure, I'd also say for the long term, this day will have been probably the most valuable out of the days so far, though the overall experience still trumps that in the sense that I've gained more sort of, I've voluntarily lost the choice to do wrong. I think that's the most powerful. Then second most powerful thing so far is the observation that my emotions can still control me in ways which perhaps may be subpar. But yeah, lots of complicated ideas there. I'll explain more tomorrow, as I've said, once I understand a bit more. And hopefully tomorrow's a little bit more focused. I'll try and keep my feet on the ground a little bit more. And yeah, that's all for today, I think. Thanks for watching, and see you tomorrow. Bye. Hope it's all going great for everybody as well. Let me know, give me some updates. I'd love to hear. And I'll be asking the ones of you that are messaging me. I'll be asking you. Anyway, thanks again for watching. See you tomorrow. Bye.